Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
I have to admit, I did not see this happening in the way that it has happened. I never really thought Chrysita Freeland and Justin Trudeau would part ways in such a dramatic fashion as we have seen today. The Liberal, Trudeau, NDP, Jagmeet Singh government of Canada has been thrown into absolute chaos. Merry Christmas. And some people are viewing it in exactly that way, as an early Christmas gift, with the resignation of Canada's Finance Minister, Chrysita Freeland, today. A lot of people thought that she would be fired today and replaced with the guy, Mark Carney, that people call Carbon Carney. Didn't quite happen that way. No, he's an arch rival to Chrysita Freeland, and yes, he's also an arch rival to Justin Trudeau. That he was being tapped to replace Trudeau. Former Bank of Canada governor. I think he was the governor of the Bank of England too, at one point, not very long ago. Smart guy, liberal, and he was in line to take Trudeau's job. That's why Trudeau pulled him into the fold. When all the knives were out, started to come out recently, and people were looking to plunge them into Justin Trudeau's back politically. Carney's name instantly came up. A lot of people wanted him to step into the role of challenging Trudeau for the leadership of the party, because they want Trudeau to resign. These are liberals because they see that he is in so much trouble politically, so low in the polls. Well, Trudeau couldn't have that, so he brought Carney in and has been keeping his, political adversary from within the Liberal Party close, very close, and was lining him up, I think, for the finance minister's job. Didn't happen that way today. Carney, as you'll hear, was probably the architect of much of what we've seen in this current budget. Today, we finally got some details on this from this fall economic statement, the current state of the Canadian federal budget. The Canadian government is in trouble. The country's in trouble because of everything that the Trudeau Liberal NDP coalition government has been doing with the finances. Chrysita Freeland had a $42 billion guardrail, a cap essentially. She didn't want to go past 42 billion, but Trudeau and Carney wanted her to blow through that. And Trudeau it was pretty clear he was getting ready to throw her under the bus. Not going to happen. She decided to do exactly what a lot of other people have been doing. She didn't quite go this far. She didn't get out a pickup truck and stick an F Trudeau flag in the back and start driving around. She didn't stage a convoy, but my God, she basically did the next thing to that. She issued a letter around 8 a.m. this morning, just before it was just before the economic statement was supposed to be tabled, the finance minister. And what does she do? She resigns because she knows that she's basically getting kicked in the teeth and kicked to the curb by Trudeau. She's being used as a scapegoat. So she essentially, and I don't want the thumbnail in today's video to be taken like literally. She didn't come out and say F Trudeau, but she might as well have, because in the statement she released, she essentially says, F you, I'm out of here. She really does give him like the double barrel, double middle finger on her way out the door. This is he's betrayed her, essentially, is what he's done. And it shows how incredibly selfish this guy is. Because this is a strong woman, whether you like her or not. And, there's some things about her that grate on all of us, the twitching and all of that. Although I don't really like to draw too much attention to it. Some people think she's on something, but I think she has probably a medical condition that's causing that. Some, tic or something that's developing as she just gets a little bit, older. So I don't like to harp on it too much, but, I digress. I just, but my God, and I'll never forgive any of them for what they did to us during the pandemic. I just didn't like the government policies, didn't like the mandates, didn't like the lockdowns. I didn't like the coercive nature of things. I didn't like the mandatory nature of their policies. I didn't like all the people losing their jobs. I didn't like what it did to families. So I'll never forgive any of them for any of that. They went way, 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 way too far. And she's one of them. So no forgiveness on that. I will never forget. So I'm in that vein of things. But today, my God, Trudeau is in so much trouble. This is a woman who has been at his side since he has been in power. She's been with him every step of the way. She basically just backed him up no matter what stupid thing he ever said, no matter what stupid policy he ever came up with, no matter how much money he wanted to spend, no matter how far in debt he took the country. She always found a way to kind of keep it together for him in the public sphere, backing this guy up all the way along. Never wavering in over 9 years, almost a decade of putting up with that guy. My God, even his wife couldn't put up with him that long. But Freeland was there. She also is seen as a possible successor to Trudeau. This is a woman who could easily take his job. And I think she just set herself up for it within the party. I know that, it doesn't matter what people outside the party who don't like Trudeau and Freeland think, because they're not going to vote for her anyway, and they're not part of the party. But within the party, she's now positioned to take that guy's job. And, serves him right. Because look what he just did to her. He was screwing her, and not in a good way. Okay, I'm talking about politically. And she was like going to have none of it. I don't blame her. Not one bit. So she comes out this morning and says, F you, in her statement. We're going to show you that. We're going to, the reaction from this is a special broadcast. And you can weigh in on the conversation tonight if you want to call in. I'll put the number up on the screen. We will take a few phone calls tonight to get your feedback on this so you can join in on this conversation. And I think a lot of you probably going to want to comment, because this is huge story for Canada and internationally as well. All this, of course, as we await the arrival of President-elect Trump in the White House and the new administration, which is very, how shall I put, they're not our friend right now here in Canada. We're facing a possible trade war of epic proportions, a trade war. If this happens, it will be unprecedented in Canada-U.S. history. this kind of adversarial trading relationship. I don't see it going down that way, but it's possible. Right now, this has Canada worked up into a tizzy, the whole country, and the government itself is in a heap of trouble. That's why a new poll came out today, and I think it was just today, showing that the majority of Canadians think Trudeau's got to go, that the guy for the job, the guy to negotiate with Trump, is Pierre Poilievre. He's much better suited. That's the way people are looking at this. They want Trudeau out of there. His days were numbered days ago. His best before date, way past the best before date. He's gonzo. He's donezo. He's got to go. He just can't bring himself to do it. Now, I can't rule the guy out because he's got a powerful political machine behind him. He's viewed by so many people as like political royalty because he has that Trudeau name, that mystique, that aura, that sense of royalty that comes with that name because of the legacy that his father managed to cement within Canadian history and the Canadian psyche. Not justified, not worthy of it, in my view. Pierre Trudeau did a lot of damage to this country in a lot of ways, and the seeds that he planted during his time in office are growing up into giant political weeds now that we are really paying a huge price for in terms of, social policies, economic policies. That he took this country far to the left. That's what Pierre Trudeau did. And then he set the whole stage for, the multicultural agenda that has really ended up being very dysfunctional. It laid the groundwork for what a lot of people would describe as globalism for this country. Because Pierre Trudeau was not really a liberal. He was not really even just a socialist. I mean, if you go and look at his background, his history, Pierre Trudeau he was a card-carrying communist. And then if you read the history of Pierre Trudeau, you find out that he realized that if he wanted to assume any kind of power within politics, he had to get involved with the Liberal Party. And so that's what he did. And then he took his ideology and integrated that into the liberal ideology of the Liberal Party. The party itself, not the ideology, but the liberal ideology of the day back in the 60s, 70s, and into the 80s. And that's where a lot of our problems today come from, in my opinion. I remember as a kid, people talking about politics, my relatives, the way it was back then, and why they were so upset back then. And we're reaping the, not the rewards, but the damage, the whirlwind of damage that has come since then. It has taken decades. And now Justin, born on Christmas Day, by the way, with a silver spoon in his mouth, adding to the fairy tale narrative story that swirls around him, even to this day. That's a hard thing to combat in the land of political narrative. Well, today, man, nuclear bombs going off within the Liberal caucus, within the party, and then they couldn't even get the people that the finance minister job fell to. They didn't want it. It was like, who wants the finance minister's job today, since we now have a $61 billion deficit that somebody has to take responsibility for? And then everybody takes a step back. And you know who the guy was who was left standing out in front? Dominic LeBlanc. We'll show you how they swore him in today. There's a guy who's been being turned into political cannon fodder. Who wants that job today? $61 billion deficit? Deficit. That's going to be added to our debt. That's not our total debt, folks. That's the deficit for the coming budget, as revealed today. That blows right through that $42 billion cap. Oh my God. Yeah. Where does this leave the country? Not in a good place. Doubled, cost of housing, this guy, since he's been in power. He has doubled the debt. Now he's got this massive new deficit that he's presenting to the Canadian public. This guy, he said he's no good at math. No kidding, Justin. He can't seem to balance the country's checkbook. Not even trying, if you really look at it. This is a guy who said that basically the budget will balance itself. It doesn't work that way. So should we be surprised today that we have this massive deficit? Basically about $20 billion higher than Chrysita Freeland wanted to cap it at. $20 billion over the deficit cap that she wanted to impose. And they were like, no, Chrysita, you have to go. You must, this 61 billion. Well, she's like, I'm out of here. It was too much even for her. Even for Chrysita Freeland. The Liberals are in a lot of trouble, folks. I've been telling you for quite some time. I said, Trudeau's days are numbered. Just ride this out. It's coming. He's going to be gone soon. I mean, worst case scenario, he'll find a way to survive all the way to the fall, next fall, and then we'll have the election then. But I think it's coming much sooner. Today, even the NDP, the leader of the NDP, Jagmeet Singh, calling for Trudeau to resign. We've got all of this stuff for you tonight. And as I say, you can join in on the conversation by calling in tonight to express your views and, if you so choose, your displeasure with Justin Trudeau. Here's the number to call tonight, 1519-401-1373, 1519-401-1373. Exercise your right to free speech. Tell Justin Trudeau what you really think. Tell the world what you really think about everything that's happened over the past 24 hours with the Justin Trudeau regime in Canada. We've got other news today, too. We might have time to dip into some of it. Trump commenting today on the drones. Trump also commenting today on RFK Jr. and his views on vaccines, which have been again thrust front and center in the media cycle, as he may be affirmed into his role to make America healthy again. So we've got that and a whole lot more, but mostly you guys get to talk tonight if you want to at that number. So we'll take at least a few phone calls on the other side of this.
Someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching.
The world is watching. On TV.
The entire world is watching.
On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching. Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to rock and roll with tonight's special broadcast about Chrysita Freeland resigning as finance minister and Justin Trudeau in a whole heap of trouble. Let's first of all show you the letter from the finance minister, who basically gave Trudeau a double-barreled middle finger today and said, not in these exact words, this is my interpretation. She basically said, F you, Trudeau. Here it is. Here's the letter. It says, it has been the honor of my life to serve in government, working for Canada and Canadians. We have accomplished a lot together. On Friday, you said, you told me you no longer want me to serve as your finance minister and offered me another position in the cabinet. Upon reflection, I have concluded that the only honest and visible path is for me to resign from the cabinet. To be effective, a minister must speak on behalf of the Prime Minister and with his full confidence. In making your decision, you made clear that I no longer credibly enjoy that confidence and possess the authority that comes with it. For the past number of weeks, you and I have found ourselves at odds about the best path forward for Canada. She doesn't agree with him anymore, if she ever really did. Our country today faces a grave challenge. The incoming administration in the United States is pursuing a policy of aggressive economic nationalism, including a threat of a 25% tariff. Yes, indeed. Yes. It's actually tariffs, because it's on everything in the country going to the U.S. She goes on and says, we need to take that threat extremely seriously. That means keeping our fiscal powder dry today, so we have the reserves we may need for a coming tariff war. That means eschewing costly political gimmicks, which we can ill afford and which make Canadians doubt that we recognize the gravity of the moment. Oh, yes, you better wake up there, JT, and open your eyes, as I think most Canadians better open your freaking eyes. I can't believe how many people are sitting there saying, go Trump, as he's ready to give it to us right where it counts. Everywhere. And double, yeah, man, like, wow. Like, God, Trump is helping. No, he's not. No, he's not. He's not your friend right now. Canadians, nothing against him. Go Trump if you're an American. You want to screw Canada. This actually, it's going to hurt both Canadians and Americans. But again, I digress. I can't believe the politics has just gone freaking insane. That means pushing back against America First economic nationalism with a determined effort to fight for capital and investment and the jobs they bring. Indeed, that means working in good faith and humility with the premiers of the provinces and territories of our great and diverse country and building a true Team Canada response. I know Canadians would recognize and respect such an approach. They know when we were working for them, and they equally know when we are focused on ourselves. Yeah, I kind of noticed that when you're going on vacation. Inevitably, our time in government will come to an end. Inevitably, our time in government will come to an end, she says. She sees the end. But how we deal with that threat, with the threat our country currently faces, will define us for a generation. Yes. And perhaps longer. Yes. Canada will win if we are strong, smart, and united. It is this conviction which has driven my strenuous efforts this fall to manage our spending in ways that will give us the flexibility we will need to meet the serious challenges presented by the United States. I will always be grateful for the chance to have served in government, and I will always be proud of our government's work for Canada and Canadians. I look forward to continuing to work with my colleagues as a Liberal Member of Parliament, and I am committed to running again for my seat in Toronto in the next federal election. With gratitude, the Honourable Chrysita Freeland, Member of Parliament. So, that's what she said. She resigned, it did, right before the economic statement was to come out, to be tabled, to be made public. The timing could not have been worse for Justin Trudeau. Oh, what are you going to do now, Justin? You're going to go out there and read the economic statement yourself? No. He appointed Dominic LeBlanc, Finance Minister. We'll get to that, but I'll tell you what's going on right now. Trudeau, tonight, even as we speak, is at a Liberal fundraiser. Oh, yes. So, as his government is in chaos, he's at the Canadian Museum of History. And just moments ago, I mean, this is ultra fresh, super hot off the press, not even ink dried on this video. Here's Right Blend approaching Justin Trudeau as he enters this fundraiser tonight on the streets of Ottawa, walking down the street saying, Mr. Prime Minister, how can you justify staying in power when all of this chaos is going on? Here's what he had to say.
King Trudeau, what gives you the right to continue? What gives you the right to stay in office? You failed Canada. You've ruined our country. You're done. Walk away. You don't have an ounce of your father's integrity. At least he walked in the snow. You've ruined this country. Everyone around you is running from you. They're abandoning you. Chrysita Freeland, Sean Fraser, they've all left you. It's time for you to go. It's time for Canada to have an election. You're not the king.
I didn't hear a question. Well, there was kind of a question.
You're not the king of this country. You are not our king. You are a public servant and you have failed.
So that's Right Blend, who's out there on the street every day, practically, with his camera, chasing these politicians down. And little editorializing going on there, I would say. I don't know. Did you detect and did you notice an opinion coming out of that? Well, that's where Trudeau's at tonight. So he's at this fundraiser speaking, and it ain't pretty for Trudeau tonight. He's in a whole heap of trouble. So, as I say, he did appoint Dominic LeBlanc, the new finance minister. Here's LeBlanc today being sworn in hastily. It's like, anybody want the job? No, oh, Dominic, you didn't step backwards. Here he is, LeBlanc, during his swearing in today. Canadian history in the
En
making.
qualité de ministre des Finances et des Affaires intergouvernementales. I, Dominic LeBlanc, do solemnly and sincerely promise and swear that I will be truly and faithfully and to the best of my skill and knowledge execute the powers and trusts reposed in me as Minister of Finance and Intergovernmental Affairs.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck defending that $61 billion deficit. Holy criminy. You know, might not seem, that might seem like peanuts to our American viewers, but in Canada, a country, you know, fraction of the size economically and in terms of population compared to the United States, we're basically, you know, half the population of New York. Right? Like it's like we're a state. And I don't mean that we are the 51st state. I just mean in terms of size, our whole country, the size of our economy, everything. We're just like the equivalent of a big state. So 61 billion for Canada, that's for us. That's a big deal. A deficit on top of our debt. And this kind of spending fuels inflation. It harms regular people. Oh, for a short time, depending on how the money is spent, where it goes, it can, you know, put money in people's pockets temporarily, but that's debt that we eventually have to pay. It reduces the value of the dollar, you know, depending on how much money is spent or printed to go along. Yeah, whatever. This is bad. It's just bad. It's too much. They can't manage the checkbook. Here's Dominic LeBlanc already being, you know, his feet being held to the fire. Go ahead, defend that $61 billion deficit announced today, sir.
Et c'était dans ma journée aujourd'hui avec mes collègues et avec le Premier ministre le seul sujet de conversation. So the Prime Minister, like our entire government, is very focused on the work that Canadians expect us to do. We understand that cost of living for a huge number of Canadians is a very significant issue, and they expect their government to be focused on affordability issues. That was my conversation with the Prime Minister. That'll obviously be a huge focus in my work as the Minister of Finance. We need to also be extremely focused on the challenges that the incoming American administration will pose with respect to the potential imposition of tariffs. I have been doing a lot of work on border security issues over the last number of weeks. I saw two leaders focused on these issues at Mar-a-Lago when we were there 2.5 weeks ago. So I intend to continue to do the work that I have, and I think I have a pretty busy set of issues in front of me, and I'm excited about it.
Lorsque vous êtes allé à Mar-a-Lago, est-ce que vous saviez que M. Trudeau vous voyait aux finances?
Hang on, we'll get you back into English. Here we go. We're going to go back to him here. All right, here we go.
The Hill Times. When were you tapped to become finance minister, and were you the first pick, or did you have to step up because no one else wanted the job?
That wasn't the conversation I had with the Prime Minister. You'd have to
Yes,
talk to the Prime Minister about those issues.
Yes, it was.
I spoke to him this afternoon. He asked me to assume this responsibility and to remain the Intergovernmental Affairs Minister, to assume the chair's role of the Canada-U.S. Cabinet Committee, and to remain very focused on border security. So that was my conversation with him. And it's an enormous privilege. It's an enormous privilege to serve as the finance minister, and it's something that I will pour my heart and soul into for as long as I have the job.
And as finance minister, what would be your number one priority dealing with the U.S. administration, cost of living, the $61 billion deficit?
I think the number one priority for the government has to remain the cost of living challenges that Canadian families are facing. Canadian families and Canadians across the country are feeling the pressure of the cost of living increases.
No kidding.
They want the
I'm
government
give you the
to remain
translation.
focused on those issues.
Let me tell you what he's really
that will be
saying.
a huge focus for me as the Minister of Finance, they also expect the government to manage the public finances and taxpayers' money in an effective way. They want the expenditure of public money to be focused on what achieves results for them. So that's a job that I look forward to doing as Minister of Finance. And at this particular moment, the challenge that we're facing in terms of the potential threat of tariffs across the line on Canadian exports to the United States is a key economic concern for the government, and I look forward to working with Canada's premiers on this issue. I was very encouraged by conversations I had with a few premiers who were attending the Council of the Federation meeting today. Premier Ford, as chair of the Council of the Federation, will be a great ally for Canada. And for me, it's been a privilege to work with him in the past. But I look forward to using the very effective advocacy that premiers like Doug Ford, Premier Smith, attending conferences with American governors. These are all great assets for Canadians as we try and work together to convince the American administration that this isn't the right way to proceed. La priorité demeure.
Okay, all right. You want to know what he's really? Here's how it really went down. There might be language, so just be forewarned, okay? Phone rings. Hello, this is Justin Trudeau. What? Hang on. Hey, just give me a minute. I'm going to call you right back. Okay? Okay. All right. Okay, so she did what? Chrysita Freeland did what? What? That effing... Oh my God, what are we going to do? We have to deliver the economic statement in like 10 minutes. And she's not going to do it. She quit. Oh. Okay, so then he's like, who wants the job? Who wants the job? Okay, everybody together. All right, we have like 5 minutes. Who's going to release the economic statement? Chrysita effed us. And now we're screwed. What are we going to do? Somebody here, who wants it? Who wants the economic state? You want it? It's like, okay, anybody that wants to be finance minister, step forward. And then everybody steps backwards, and Dominic LeBlanc forgets to move. He's out front, and he goes, okay, Dominic, you're the guy. Good man. All right, Dominic. Okay, Dominic, here's the deal. Chrysita just she just effed us, right? So, dude, here's what you got to do. I want you to keep your current gig because we can't have any more resignations. All right, because we already had Sean Fraser resign over the last day. Now, Chrysita Freeland has said F you to F Trudeau. She effed me. She's out there riding around in her pickup truck with an F Trudeau flag flying in the back right now. So keep your current gig, but you're into the new finance minister. I know, 61 billion. Don't worry about it. The budget will balance itself. It's going to be fine. Here, just take this out. Just take this economic statement and you just read it. It's 272 pages long. You've got 5 minutes. Read this, memorize it, and then get out there and present it to the House, and then take questions from the media. You can do it, man. You can do it. Get out there, Dominic. Go. And he's like, okay. And that's why when they ask him these questions, you're getting these canned answers without real specifics on numbers or anything else. And he's out there trying to run cover for Justin Trudeau's new $61 billion deficit. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh. That's the way it went down. And Dominic probably went like, me? And he's like, yes, you. If you don't do this, you're done. You have to do this or you're out of cabinet. I'm going to kick you out of the party. You'll never, your political career is over. You have to save us. That's the way it went down, man. Regardless of what he just said there, that's pretty much it. I'm just saying, okay? That's my take on it. Politically, Trudeau, she really gave it to him today. She waited until the last minute and then resigned right when he needed her most. She's like, F you. I'm not taking the heat on this one, man. I told you, no, no, we can't afford this. And he's like, come on. It's only another 20 billion. Yeah, she's like, no. Too much even for her. These tax and spend liberals, man, they are out of control. They've been out of control in the past, but never as out of control as this. This is utter freaking chaos. Absolute freaking chaos. Oh my God. Pierre Poilievre, leader of the Conservatives, of course, today capitalizing on this and calling again for an election. He met with reporters. We won't get into what happened in the House quite yet. We're going to go to the phones in a moment. You can call in at 1-519-401-1373. We do have one call in the queue here. I have to get back. I think that's a Dragon calling in. I have to get back to him, but I do want to preface all of that with this from Pierre Poilievre and his news conference about this today. And I'll keep updating this. I'm going to keep an eye open on the headlines and the information coming in on the news wires here about what Trudeau's doing at that fundraiser here tonight. But this was Poilievre earlier today talking about all of this. The Prime Minister
Bonjour
waiting.
Tout le monde. On est...
Here, let me get past the French. And here we go. We're about getting into the English right in here.
Avec le double de crimes faits avec une arme. Les drogues et le désordre incontrôlé ajoutent au chaos. 47 000 personnes sont mortes des surdoses après que M. aux banques alimentaires. M. Fraser, le ministre des Logements, il démissionne en pleine crise de logement.
Give me the English. Here we go. Come on.
Au beau milieu d'une crise économique ici au Canada. Sous la direction aujourd'hui, il est infaillible. Les conservateurs all économiques de notre gouvernance. On va réinstaurer la promesse.
Promise. He's getting into English now.
Merci beaucoup.
Here we go.
Thank you very much, everyone, for being here today. What we are seeing is the government of Canada itself is spiraling out of control.
Indeed.
Right before our eyes.
Yes.
And at the very worst time. Today, mere hours before Trudeau's finance minister was to deliver a fall economic update that was expected to smash through her already massive deficit targets, she announced she no longer has confidence in the Prime Minister. Canadians were already anxious about the reckless $40 billion deficit the government had announced last spring. But today, in mere hours, they were expected to learn that it was much higher than that, threatening our social programs and our fiscal stability right in the middle of a potential trade war. The Prime Minister, with the help and instigation of carbon tax Carney, pushed Ms. Freeland to bring on massive, unsustainable, irresponsible spending increases that blew through her self-imposed guardrail. He thought that he would simply push her through that guardrail and off the cliff so that she, and not he and Mr. Carney, would take the blame for the crisis that he and they caused. To continue the chaos, think of this. The moment the finance minister resigned, the government's published order of precedent meant that François-Philippe Champagne instantaneously became the finance minister. But now he tells us he doesn't have the job and doesn't want the job. So it goes to the next minister who's on the published order of precedent, and that is Randy Boissonnault, more commonly known as the two Randys, the gentleman who had to resign because he falsely claimed he was Indigenous, falsely claimed that there were more than one Randy when it was all him and all in his head. And he is now technically our finance minister as we speak. We don't know for sure, though, if he'll still be finance minister in 3.5 hours when the scheduled fall economic update is expected to land. That update, by the way, is currently covered by a black blanket underneath a table. No one is allowed to look at it, even though journalists and parliamentarians showed up to read it in briefing rooms to this day, earlier today. So here we are. Everything is spiraling out of control. Out of control spending and bureaucracy has doubled housing costs, with 1,400 homeless encampments taking over Ontario alone. Out of control immigration has led to refugee camps opening in suburban Canada. And then we have 500,000 people in the country illegally, according to government estimates. Out of control crime overtakes our once tranquil streets, with gun crime having doubled. Out of control drugs and disorder add to the chaos, with 47,000 of our people dead of overdoses since Trudeau legalized drug laws, stopped enforcing them, and allowed limitless sums of fentanyl ingredients into our country. Out of control inflation has followed out of control money printing, which has sent out of control demand to our food banks, which are running out of food altogether. Out of control spending has doubled our national debt, boosted interest rates, and threatened our social programs. And it's not just Freeland who thinks this Prime Minister is out of control. Now Housing Minister Sean Fraser has resigned in the middle of a housing crisis. The minister is resigning, the finance minister is resigning in the middle of an economic crisis, and a fifth of his Liberal caucus has lost confidence in him. Justin Trudeau has lost control, and yet he clings to power. We cannot accept this kind of chaos, division, weakness, while we're staring down the barrel of a 25% tariff from our biggest trading partner and closest ally, which, by the way, is headed by a newly elected president with a strong and fresh mandate, a man who can spot weakness from a mile away. Ms. Freeland has been Mr. Trudeau's most trusted minister now for a decade.
That's
for 9
right.
years.
Yes.
She knows him better than anyone, and she knows that he's out of control.
Yes.
She said this: our country faces a grave challenge. The incoming administration in the United States is pursuing a policy of aggressive economic nationalism, including the threat of a 25% tariff. We need to take that threat extremely seriously. That means we have to keep our fiscal firepower dry today, so we have the reserves we may need for a coming tariff war. That means eschewing costly political gimmicks, which we can ill afford, and which makes Canadians doubt that we recognize the gravity of the moment. I know Canadians would recognize and respect such an approach. They know we are working for them. They know when we are working for them, and they know when we are working for ourselves. Inevitably, our time in government will come to an end. Will come to an end, she said.
Yes.
And I quote,
"The end is near."
And it is coming to an end.
Oh, yes.
Because we simply cannot go on like this. And it is up to Jagmeet Singh now.
Indeed.
To make that realization.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Trudeau is being held in office by one man.
Yep.
Jagmeet Singh.
That's right.
A fifth of Liberal MPs have written a letter for him to resign. His deputy prime minister has walked out on him. His housing minister has quit. That on top of numerous other female ministers who stormed out after his appalling mistreatment and abuse and dishonesty towards them. 80% of Canadians have lost confidence in this Prime Minister. So why is Jagmeet Singh making the entire country wait for him to get his pension? That is the question today. To patriotic Liberals across the country, my message is this: you supported this government in good faith because you thought it was the right thing for the country. And You are good and decent patriotic people who've been let down by a Prime Minister and his top advisor, Mr. Carney, who have betrayed Ms. Freeland and you. Carney and Trudeau, the backroom boys, have taken the Liberal Party away from anything it used to stand for. What I'm calling for is let's bring home the common sense consensus of Liberals who believed in liberty, Conservatives who believed in conserving it, fiscal responsibility, compassion for our neighbours. These are the shared common values that will bind up our nation's wounds and bring us back together. Now is the time for a carbon tax election to turn the decision away from me or Mr. Trudeau or Mr. Singh or Mr. Carney and put it in the hands of the people. I know that they will make the right decision. Let's bring it home.
Mr. Poilievre, can you clarify, you do not accept the possibility that Mr. Trudeau could resign and there could be a leadership? You think there needs to be an election right now?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because it is not backroom Liberal insiders who get to choose the Canadian Prime Minister, it is the Canadian people. And for Mark Carney to write a fall economic update full of poison pills and then put it on his rival Chrysita Freeland's desk to knock her and Mr. Trudeau of the game and allow him and appoint himself Prime Minister is about the most undemocratic political maneuver we've ever witnessed in this country's history. The Canadian people deserve to choose who should be their next Prime Minister. Let's put our faith in them.
Is it possible to still have a vote on this, though?
That's up to Mr. Singh.
Will the election itself need to take place before January the 20th, when the catastrophic 25% tariff is slated to come into effect?
It would be ideal to have the election done before the president takes office or within the first week or two of his mandate, so that Canadians would have a strong Prime Minister with the brains and backbone, the strength and smarts to stand up for Canada, facing down President Trump and our American competitors.
But to be clear, do you think there is a process? Is there a process in the House of Commons? We're in a minority government. Do you see a process in which the House could vote no confidence before it rises tomorrow? Is there such a maneuver that you can do?
I think it's really up to Jagmeet Singh.
Freeland resigned hours before tabling the fall economic statement. How should the government now proceed with the Feds? Should it be tabled?
Yes.
Last question.
And maybe the answer is just for them to table the Fez and let's vote up or down on the Fez. It would be a confidence motion. I think the answer is to table the Fez, the fall economic update, and let the House of Commons vote up or down. And if the fall economic update is defeated, then it would be a non-confidence vote and we would proceed to a carbon tax election. Je pense que M. Trudeau devrait déposer la mise à
He's just... Hang on, we'll just go back.
Up 2 million people at food banks, 1,400 homeless encampments, a doubling of gun crime, the worst inflation in 40 years, our 6 consecutive quarters of shrinking per capita GDP, $500 billion of investment leaving for the United States. Parents are tossing and turning at night because we have the most indebted households by far in the G7. That's the real hell that is interrupting people's Christmas spirit right now. And I think the best Christmas present we could give Canadians is to let them choose a new common sense conservative government that will bring home Canada's promise, so that anyone from anywhere can do anything. Hard work gets them a powerful paycheck and pension that buys affordable food, homes, and wonderful Christmas gifts to go under the tree. Thank you.
The end. Oh yeah, it's chaos. Trudeau is in trouble. Make no mistake. This is like a mutiny, man. Yeah, here's Brian in the chat. What's he saying? Maybe there are drones flying over the Prime Minister's office searching for signs of intelligent life. That's a good comment. What's this comment here? It says NDP leader Jagmeet Singh on Monday called on Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to resign, adding that all options were on the table and asked if he would support a non-confidence motion. Yes, and I have Jagmeet Singh right here. Let me show you what he actually said today. I have him. This is the guy, leader of the New Democratic Party, who continues to prop Justin Trudeau up because, of course, Trudeau has that minority government. He needs that ongoing support on all these votes in the House from the NDP and the Bloc, but especially the NDP, in order to remain in power. And Jagmeet, at every turn, sort of at times threatens to pull his support, but then in the end doesn't do it. He just keeps on propping up the little prince. And here we go. Here's Jagmeet today on this issue. Oh, hang on.
Resign. He has to go. Right now, today I'm calling on Justin Trudeau to resign. He has to go. Right now, Canadians are struggling with the cost of living. I hear it everywhere I go. People cannot find a home they can afford. They can't buy their groceries. And on top of that, we have Trump threatening tariffs at 25%, which put hundreds and thousands of Canadian jobs at risk. And instead of focusing on these issues, Justin Trudeau and the Liberals are focused on themselves. They're fighting themselves instead of fighting for Canadians. For that reason, today I'm calling on Justin Trudeau to resign. He has to go. Today.
It's true. They are fighting amongst themselves, and that is because the Liberals smell the blood in the water, and now the Liberal sharks are out, and they are in a feeding frenzy. They are lining up, ready. The big fish are there, ready to swallow up Justin Trudeau and take his gig. They want his job, some of these people. Freeland will run in the next leadership convention, I predict. She's positioned for it. Anita Anand, also a prominent cabinet member, will also, I think, be one of the potentials there. I believe I have a clip of Anita Anand right here. She's one of many MPs, Liberal MPs, who came out and were scrummed by media today to get their reaction to what Freeland, this feud between the former finance minister Freeland and Trudeau, and the way it erupted into this massive nuclear political bomb. Here she is, Anand.
Chrysita Freeland is a good friend, someone I work with very, very closely as president of the Treasury Board and Minister of Transport. This news has hit me really hard, and I'll reserve further comment until I have time to process it. La ministre Freeland.
Yeah, she's not happy. You can tell this is shaking her up because this represents a massive crack in Liberal unity.
How would you describe the situation your government's in right now? Your finance minister has resigned on hours before the Fez was supposed to be tabled.
These are unusual days. They're unusual days, and I think we'll see how things unfold today.
Yep.
I haven't heard the Prime Minister hasn't given a response that I have heard yet, so I'm fascinated in seeing what's going on.
Were you expecting this to happen? Like, did you have any sense that this was going to happen?
No, but I don't know who did. Things happen in politics, and it's a
Sometimes
rough
you could
road.
read the room and see things happening. I mean, if you read the Globe, you would see that.
I read all the news outlets.
Does this feel like the end? Does it feel like the end to you?
I've been a lifelong Liberal. I was 12 years old when I joined the Liberal Party of Canada, and I have never doubted a day that the Liberal Party is the strongest party in this country, and that we will always have the leader we need at the right time, and we'll continue to be the Liberal Party.
Is he the right leader?
I have said to the Prime Minister, if he wants my advice on his leadership or comments, I'll give them directly only to him. I have been really clear about that. So it's a day where we will. I think there's got to be some reflection going on, And I was Chrysita Freeland's parliamentary secretary, and I have huge respect for her, and I will continue to have huge respect for her. And I'm really glad her confidence is in the Liberal Party, and she is going to run as a member of Parliament, and I think that says a lot.
And that means that Chrysita Freeland may be gonzo as finance minister, but she's still there, still an MP, still a member of Parliament, still in the House. She's going to run for re-election. She's going to run for the leadership. She may get it because within the Liberal Party, she's very liked, but not very popular overall. She's carrying a lot of political baggage as well. She will have some pretty stiff competition for the leadership, but she'll be there. She'll be there. And you've not heard the last of Chrysita Freeland. She's going to be a prominent Liberal member of Parliament in the days, weeks, months, years ahead. She's not going anywhere, trust me. And I think she's pretty strong in her own riding, so she'll probably be reelected. Trudeau, I think he's gone. Her, no. In fact, this right here, this is a power move. This is a political power play. That's what she's done here. It's pretty smart because by giving him the middle finger, two of them, double barrel, she's really positioned herself very well politically within the party and even publicly, because for the general public, because now she can say, well, I told him to F off. Right? I didn't want the $61 billion deficit. I said, no. But he wouldn't listen, so I had to resign because he was just going to throw me under the bus. Smart move there, Chrysita. Very smart move. We'll see how Trudeau handles this one. This is still early. All of this is evolving. We'll see if he survives. Stay with me. We're going to go to the phones on the other side. We're going to get Dragon on the line here. We tried to call in a little earlier, but we weren't quite ready for him.
Hey, what's up?
Okay, there you are, sir. Are you ready with your comments on what's going on with Trudeau and Freeland? Dragon joining us from Montreal. So, what's your initial reaction to Freeland's resignation and the announced $61 billion deficit?
Well, it's a beautiful day, quite honestly, because, I was quite shocked to learn this. And to be quite honest, I'm totally shocked. I mean, it came probably in a sort of a surprise, but after the backlash that happened a few days ago about that $61 billion of deficit, this is pretty bad, and I think actually the real number is 21.8 billion over the target that she had made herself before getting into it. So yeah, and just do you want to get another perspective of it? If I got it right, since 2019 we have been into a deficit of 611.3 billion. So that gives you a big number of how the economic has changed since 2019.
Wow, 611 billion added to the debt since Trudeau came into power, and that's just since 2019, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To 2033.
For Canada and an economy of our size, that is like putting an anchor around the neck of the economy and throwing the entire Canadian economy into the ocean, and saying, "Go ahead, swim, Canadians."
Sorry.
It's like throwing an anchor around the neck of the economy and throwing it into the ocean and then telling Canadians to try and swim.
Yep. Basically, and this will be added also to the number that was supposed to come up today, but since that Freeland kind of ran away, well, this number will we will have to wait for this number to come, because this will be added to that 611 billion that I spoke of. So that's going to give you the perspective of what's happening in 2024, because the number of 611 is from 2019 to 23. So there's still this year to be fiscally counted into this. So
yes, and so you have people essentially lending, through bonds and other and T-bills and so on, lending the money to the federal government, and then you have interest on top of that to be paid every single year, and the country can really ill afford this at this point. This is what's dragging down the standard of living in the country. It improves things temporarily because you're enjoying the stuff that's being purchased on the credit card, but at some point you got to pay. So it's not good. Not good. Anyway, so what do you think will happen to Freeland in, the medium and long run? Do you think she'll go after Trudeau's job and run in a leadership convention? Will she challenge him? Are the knives out? Does the party itself want to remove him as leader?
Well, I think she's going to take a moment, and at some point she might come back, but she might choose something more of her skill set, if I can put it this way. Probably getting into prime minister run, but we'll see.
All right. Well, Dragon, thank you.
It's just a prediction, but I think she might also go into journalism, because that's where she was at before. So
no, she's not going into journalism. She's going to stay in politics. She's going to keep her job as an MP. She said she's going to run again, and then she will. I think she's going to be. She's still one of the top liberals there. She has power within the party. So I don't know, man. I think that she'll be well positioned for. If say the Liberals were to get reelected, not going to happen, but if it were, even if they're not reelected, she'll be in, the shadow cabinet, in caucus for the Liberals in opposition. She'll be there. She'll be there. She's going to get reelected to her seat. She's well positioned now, and she'll have a leading role either as the leader or as one of the premier, top members of parliament, Liberal MPs, for sure. She ain't going nowhere. She ain't going back to journalism. Not in my view.
And just for you before I go, when you speak about Dominique Leblanc, just one trick. Don't pronounce the C at the end of Leblanc. It's Leblanc.
But I'm an Anglophone. We have to pronounce the C.
I'm just giving you some French course right now.
See, that's the thing. For our French viewers, I'm terrible, because I just take a hatchet to the language, and I do apologize. I don't mean to be disrespectful.
You're good, actually. I'm just giving you a little
Thank you. I need all the help I can get when it comes to my French. So I appreciate that very much. Okay, Dragon from Montreal signing off. Thank you, sir. Great phone call. Take care. And folks, you can join the conversation at 1-519-401-1373. We'll stay on the phones when we come back on the other side of this, and you can join the conversation. Exercise your right to free speech. Here's how. Okay, Mavericks, it's call-in time. Join the conversation. Call now, 1-519-401-1373. One 519-401-1373. Exercise your right to free speech. That's 1-519-401-1373. That's 1-519-401-1373. Maverick News. Call now. The world is watching and listening to you. And we are back. And go ahead. Who's on the line now?
Kitty the prepping cat. Who else would phone, eh?
Yes. Well, I know that you have been waiting for this day. Well, give me your reaction to all of this chaos.
Well, first of all, to everybody out there, cheers! Oh, yes. Oh, yes. But seriously, my opinion? Okay, Trudeau, being as how there are quite a few psychologists out there saying that he's a narcissistic psychopath, right? And he really believes that everyone loves him. Mm-hmm. Now, what happened today wasn't just that she resigned. It wasn't just that she called him out. She snookered him because I'd be willing to bet anything that he never thought she would do this to him. Mm-hmm. She made him look like a fool, and you never do that to a narcissist. You just don't.
Yeah.
And
yes.
Did you see his face when he got in the car? He doesn't know how to handle this.
Yeah.
He doesn't know. Like, she snookered him a good one. Now, having said that, I will never forgive what they all did to us and what they said about us, like not going into detail.
Yeah.
I will never forgive that or forget it. Neither will my son. But I tell you, for her of all people, to, like you say, give him the double finger, she kicked him so hard in the gonads, I'd be surprised if he has any now.
Yes, I know.
Like, oh my God, like for that, it's like, good for you, Krista. Thank you so much. That felt so good, you know. But, you know, here's what worries me. When he gets angry, he does shit.
Yes. Yeah, he does.
You know, and like I'm worried now as to what's he going to do next, because he's not going to walk away from this.
No.
You see, and I do believe in ways which I can't explain on YouTube. I do believe he's dangerous in terms of what he can think of, because someone's going to pay for this. How dare people not kiss his ass and tell him that they love him? Of all people to do this to him, I would have expected a few different MPs to do this, but her, she's been by his side right since the beginning.
That's right.
She backed him on everything. She backed him on stuff that even her own friends thought there's no way she would back him up, but she did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But not today. And not only a resignation of it was so wonderful to serve with you, God, you know, and I will bow and I will take my leave. Oh, no, she called him out.
Yes, she did.
I read that thing 3 times. I'm like, oh, my God, Robert says, you okay, Mom? I said, no, I need a beer, and I don't have any. You know, like, it wouldn't surprise me. I think she will run, but you know what? I think there is an old saying, there's nothing worse than a woman scorned.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
you know,
she'll come from all guns blazing now, if he sticks around. Yeah.
You know what? Here is my prediction. He's not only going to stick around, he will not resign. He will not leave. He will be here for the next election. And I do believe, just talking to a couple friends of mine that are in the party, that he might try and delay the election for a year.
He can't. How would he do that?
He can call an emergency for everything or anything. And I'll tell you why I do believe this. I really hope he doesn't. But you see, for basically a decade, he's never followed rules before. So why should he start now? Why should he bow to the electorate, right? The people, the electors, us.
You know, one of the reasons I think that will not happen is because the people within his own party have the knives out for him. They want him gone. It isn't just the opposition. They want him gone too. They want a leadership convention. They want, and then there will be an election. He's gonna go. I don't think he will be able to survive until the next election. He might try, but when his own party now is fractured like this, you see a mutiny brewing. You have even his finance minister resigns in such a public way today. This is like, oh my God, like he's got a serious problem. He's lost the confidence of, you know, many of his closest, most important and most powerful members of parliament. His support has been cut in half. He's in trouble.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, you do know, I'm sure you do, that the first thing he did in 2015 was remove the section of the Liberal Act, which means that the leader can be removed.
Mm-hmm.
That was taken out. So the Liberal Party literally has no means to remove him. There are only two ways, either through election or he resigns.
Yeah, well, it's going to happen, you know, and he doesn't even, if he doesn't even have the support of his own MPs, you know, like it'll get to a point where they could just vote against him on an issue of confidence, like a budget, like a financial matter, or anything in the House. And if his own MPs turn against him and vote against something of critical importance in the House, then the government loses its own confidence, and off we go. Off he goes to the Governor General to call an election. He won't. He's got serious problems, not just with the public, not just with the Conservatives, within his own party now, and it's public. It's all on full display. All of this infighting, which Jagmeet Singh makes reference to here. He's got a serious problem.
That's right. I've forgotten too, because the budget, they have to have a vote on that. And that is the vote of confidence.
Yeah. And there are other things that can end up being confidence votes as well. So there are ways for the Liberals to turf their own leader. They'll get rid of him if they want to get rid of him.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to enjoy this. I mean, the words "how delicious" have just floated across my brain today. I mean, oh my God, we went out to do a little bit of shopping. We came back and I was greeted with this, and I think I've been on cloud nine ever since. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Well, like, I think, you know, the most important thing to take from this is that there is chaos and Trudeau is losing support within his own government, right? His own party. So that's the most important thing to take from this today politically.
Yes, and she did make him look like a fool, an absolute fool.
Yeah, and this is also political posturing, positioning. Now she's ready to take a run at the leadership. That's what this is.
You know, I would love it if she won just so she could kick his ass one more time. I mean, that was so good. It's like, oh, Christian, can't you do it just once more? You know, just once more. That was so good. That's my only fear, is that he'll try and sneak something else along, but he's got to go, because seriously, like, our country can't take tariffs like that. We're getting battered here.
Oh,
like,
yes.
I mean, as it is, like right now, our kids and our grandkids can't buy a house.
Right. Yeah,
and this debt is going to have to be paid by us, our kids, our grandkids, and our great-grandchildren. Like, this is obscene.
Yeah. Yeah. It's absolutely true. Housing costs have doubled under Trudeau. Doubled.
Oh, I know. They're awful.
I mean, that's sort of a win for people who already own a home, but for anybody just trying to live, who has a mortgage, who needs to get into the market for the first time, it's, you know, especially first-time home buyers. Oh my. No, this is really bad. And the solution that the government has come up with has been largely focused on renters, and the other solution has been to approve longer term mortgages to reduce monthly payments. But that's adding another decade of payments for people.
Can you imagine buying a house when you're 35? You put a down payment down of $300,000, and you have to sign papers for a mortgage till you're 70.
Yeah, I mean,
it's awful. Like my older son, he said, "Well, I'm not going to be able to buy a house here." So you know what he did? He left Canada.
Mm-hmm.
He did. He left a few days ago, and I know that I'm not the only parent to be like, "I love you and I miss you. Goodbye and good luck." You know.
Wow. Where did he go? Where did he go?
Oh, he's down in Miami now.
Yeah.
And he's got to figure it out from there. But he's worked hard, saved his money, but I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. It's like, because he'll never be able to buy here now.
Right. Yeah.
You know, but I'm going to let you go so you can get more calls in. But yeah, hi to everybody. And hi to your doggy, Rick.
Cosmo, he says hi back.
Yes. But everybody, you have a great night. And if I don't call again till Christmas, have a great, safe Christmas and New Year. And let us enjoy the kick in the gonads that she gave you for tonight. That's what I'm going to do.
Thank you for calling in. Great call, as always. Really appreciate that.
Hey, thanks so much, Rick. You take care now, eh?
You too. See ya. Bye.
Right on. Bye-bye.
Okay, let's take a real quick one. We'll be right back with our next call.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
We're back, and John is on the line all the way from Alberta, Canada's 51st state, where the Premier of Alberta has bent the knee and is kissing the ring. She's like, okay, we give up, Donald Trump. You can have Alberta. Just buy our oil. We'll be the 51st state. Hello, John.
She's our new governor there, Sir Ricky. Our new governor, Daniel Smear. Well, Rick, can you sing a song with me, Maverick News family? Can you sing the song, Happy Days Are Here Again? What a beautiful pre-Christmas present, my friends. And Christy is an Alberta girl, and she's persona non grata. Keep her in Ontario. We don't want her back.
Well, she's going to have to go seeking some support someplace, and she's going to have more time in her hands now, John. She might come pay you a visit out there now that she's...
I'm starting to snow here. I'm at a beautiful Matador Pizza Lounge, and everybody is just hugging and kissing one another with the Christmas present Chrysita Freeland gave us today. And the only thing we're missing now is resignation number 2. Justin Trudeau, the turd. Yeah, gotta go. He's over. Don't you think, Rick? He's done.
Oh, he's done. She's not quite done, but he's done. He just doesn't realize it. He'd be very wise to step aside. And if he wants a political career at all, beyond this, I would say here's the wisest thing for him to do. Step aside, go do something else for a little while, and then he's young enough, he would probably make a comeback of some kind. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Now, I know a lot of people are, Rick, what are you talking about? I'm just telling you what he could do. I'm not saying he should, and I'm not saying I'm happy about any of that, but that's the way it probably could roll out. And, you're talking about the Premier of Alberta out there, John. I'm just going to run this briefly while I've got you on the line. We have Ontario Premier Doug Ford responding to all this around a table today with all these other premiers who were gathering to discuss the possible 25% tariff from Donald Trump. And here's the way that went down. Let me just run this for you. bad audio off the top, but it gets cleaned up as we
Make
move
no
along
mistake
here.
about it. We may have our differences, but we're a united group of premiers, and I'm blessed to have the greatest premiers I've ever seen sitting around the table. So we're very grateful.
Premier, you must be concerned about Mr. Freeland today.
Well, I think we all are, but again, this is a time for the premiers to step up, which we're going to, and project unity across the country. And again, we have great premiers, all different locations from coast to coast to coast. And I'm blessed to be chair and have a great team right there with us.
Did you know it was coming?
No. No.
Okay, guys, thank you. That was the last question. Thank you very much.
The Mitsubishi.
Yeah, so there's Doug Ford saying they have to be unified, all the premiers. So they're trying to put up a united front in the face of what Trudeau's doing, and then saying, today's announcement by Freeland caught him by surprise. Did it catch you by surprise, John?
Well, yes, but I gotta say, Rick, I'm a good old Christian Catholic boy. When they used to say kiss in the ring, it used to be the papal ring of the Pope, not Mr. Trump. But you know where Chrysita Freeland is going to be spending Christmas, Rick? In Klaus Schwab's back bedroom. World Economic Forum.
In the back bedroom.
We are so happy here. It is a pre-Christmas present, and everybody in the bar is talking about we need the second present coming, and it's Justin Trudeau's resignation. I think he's done. He's not welcome in Alberta either, Rick. You do know that.
I've got that impression. Yes, during his visits there at the Calgary Stampede. And
we're sending his Calgary Stampede white cowboy hat. We want it back.
Yeah, Alberta is not a liberal stronghold these days. Yeah.
You think? Well, I can tell you, Chrysita Freeland has never been a favorite Alberta girl, although she's from Alberta. And you can keep her. You guys can keep her. We don't want her back, period. Whether she's resigned or not, she's not welcome in Alberta, because I think in a lot of ways she's worse than Trudeau.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, she's got her problems. Yeah.
And what is it, Rick? Have you guys watched her the last, and I don't like to pick on handicapped people because I'm blind, but is she on too much medication or not enough? Because she's got has she got a tick?
I don't know. I hate to even say too much about it, because I don't like to, if somebody's got a medical condition, I don't like to pick on them, even if they are a politician. But I mean, it is very distracting all the time when she's standing behind people speaking at the podium. She's doing this twitchy thing with her head. And a lot of people, I mean, it's become a political liability for her, because a lot of people do focus on it. It's noticeable. It's a personal thing for her, maybe. Maybe she doesn't want to explain what it is. She wants her medical privacy or what. I don't know what it is, though. See, that's the thing. So some people are like, oh, she's on some drugs or what. Like, I don't know. I have no idea what that is. But it's distracting.
Remember that girl on Seinfeld that did the funny dance, snapping her legs and twitching her hair?
No, I don't remember that. No, but
on Seinfeld, the famous chicken dance, there's something wrong with that girl, and I kind of pray for her, but she's not liked at all in Alberta. She never was, really. Uh-huh. And Justin, I ran into a guy at Costco today, and he said, all these people from Cuba, they openly talk about, they think Justin Trudeau is clearly Fidel Castro's son.
That's what a lot of people say.
Maybe that's where he's going to spend Christmas, Rick, in Cuba.
Maybe. But when she said in that letter, people can tell when we're acting on their behalf or when we're acting for ourselves. I thought that's kind of an interesting thing for you to say. The thing that instantly came to mind was, the vacations that Justin Trudeau has taken, the cost to taxpayers, the security details, the flights, the massive costs that have been revealed associated with his vacations abroad at taxpayer expense. My God.
Well, Rick, I mean, Trump was just nominated for, what was it? Was it Man of the Year for Time? What was that? Or
yes,
Person of the Year?
Person of the Year.
Well, Justin can be nominated now for just getting FUCK overed before the end of the year.
Yes.
I mean, what a strategy to pull the rug out from underneath him with just a few hours before the budget went public, eh?
Because you know why? Because he was going to do it to her. So she did it to him first. That's what went on there. Politics is a blood sport. It really is. And even within a party, there is always political infighting because people are jockeying for position, for power. So they make deals, they fight. It's constant turmoil. That's democracy. It's messy. And right now, it's spiraled out of control into absolute chaos within the Liberal Party, within the Liberal caucus, the cabinet. It's like it's a mess. He's got a mess on his hands.
Well, I wonder if she gave him the option, JT, Justin Turd. Would you like me to grease you up with the Vaseline first, or no, as an option? I mean, what a strategy.
No, I don't think there was any lubrication this morning. I think it was just a straight up, like I said, two middle fingers. F you, Trudeau.
Sorry. Oh, and if you're running short of fuck Trudeau flags, sorry folks. Sorry, Lord. We got lots of them still available in Alberta.
There's lots of them around. But who would have thought? Who would have ever thought that Chrysita Freeland would be one of the people picking up one of those flags and flying it just a short time before the economic statement?
She's got a bigger, larger set of balls than old JT Trudeau.
Yeah.
She's got a way big set of balls today, obviously, right?
Yeah, yes, she does. Oh yeah, this is dangerous, right? If he survives, remains the leader, she's done. like she just committed political suicide if she doesn't survive this and take him out. Now this is like the equivalent of political nuclear war within the Liberal Party. These two, they're going to be like at each other's throats now. Oh.
Well, they say Donald Trump is not a drinker. Maybe he's tipping back a glass of vino tonight, celebrating, because I think he helped push this whole thing over the edge with his make Canada the 51st state in the United States. Embarrassed, JT.
Yeah, he's causing a lot of grief up here, and he's not even president yet. But I don't know, man. I see all these people going, yeah, it's really good to see Trump doing all this stuff. It's so good for... No, it's not good for Canada. This is not good for Canada. He's already done more to help Canada than anybody in history, and he's not even in the White House yet. This is not helping us. This is a problem that we have to deal with now. I don't know why people are... What is it with this... This is like reverse Trump derangement syndrome. Even as he's taking a sledgehammer to our skull, our national skull, right? People are like, "Oh, it feels so good. Please, sir, may I have another?" Like, what is wrong with people?
Rick, Donald Trump has bitch slapped our Canadian beaver right in the face just before Christmas.
Yes.
That's got to upset Melania.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's going to follow through with this to that degree. There's no way. It'll hurt the U.S. too. So there's no way. But it's still not. It doesn't look good. It's not. What he said is unacceptable. Justin Trudeau just sat there and took it. He just let Trump slap him upside the head, and he sat there and just took it. Like, Dude.
No Canadian maple syrup for Mr. Trump this year for Christmas, eh?
No,
At Mar-a-Lago?
I took him off my Christmas list this year. He's been on there most years. But this year, no, lump of coal for Trump. Because what you said about my country. Sorry.
Rick, I don't think we're getting a Christmas card invitation to Mar-a-Lago this year, Rick. I think we're off the list too, Rick.
Yes, yeah, I think so.
Jeez. Well, I just had to call in and give you guys a Merry Christmas again from Alberta. We are what a beautiful early Christmas present.
Well, don't rejoice too early because you've not seen the last of her, my friend. But yeah, the chaos alone is entertainment, and it gives us hope for an election. That's what I take from this. So.
Oh, he's done. Everybody in Alberta, that's all they talk about. He's over. He's done. He's hanging on by fingernails, and yet the news reporting are still saying he still may resign within a number of hours. Can you imagine the pressure on him now?
Yeah. Oh, my God, yeah. Anyway, sir, give me a final thought and wrap her up here, John.
Well, just a final thought again. We're in the Christmas season, Maverick News people. If you are enjoying some Christmas cheer with friends or family, please don't drink and drive. Please don't drink and drive. There's lots of free ride services. Hand your keys to the bartender. Call a friend. Call your mom. Call your brother. But don't ever. It's not worth getting behind the wheel. Phone a cab. Phone a friend. And stay safe. And keep the rest of us safe, too, on the roads.
And if you see a drone flying overhead, do not shoot it. Okay?
The only drones in Alberta, Rick, I heard you comment last night, they're the new southern drones that Daniel Smith has put in place on the Montana border between Canada and the US, Yeah, those are the only drones here, Rick.
The only ones you've seen, eh? You haven't seen
yeah,
any drones
and she's
in the sky
really
out there?
pissed off the border services too, with what she's up to, because she's turning it over to the RCMP, but
yeah,
the border services have got jurisdiction, I guess. So, well, that'll be another story.
Indeed. Okay, so thank you, John. Great call as always, and we will.
Peace around the world, Maverick News. Love you. God bless you.
We love you too, man. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye. Cheers.
All right. Take a quick break. Be back on the other side of the.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, Mavericks, it's call-in time. Join the conversation. Call now, 1-519-401-1373. One 519-401-1373. Exercise your right to free speech. That's 1-519-401-1373. That's 1-519-401-1373. Maverick News. Call now. The world is watching and listening to you. And since we did just touch on that drone story again, I'm just going to throw this into the mix here tonight because there's still a lot of talk about these drones. Government officials are saying that in many ways the whole drone thing has taken on sort of a life of its own. And in that way, what we're talking about is every light in the sky, every airplane, I think, Canada Goose flying south is now being noticed as people look skyward. And because people are worried, in some cases scared, it's amplifying the effect of this. You have a lot of social media streamers who are posting videos of their own, just shooting drones themselves, I think, and making videos and saying, look, there are drones above me. And if they see drones at all, they're drawing attention to it. They're reporting every drone out there. And yet there are more drones out there being flown around than ever before. And that's because the prices have come way down. You have 12-year-olds flying drones and adults flying drones, companies flying drones, hobbyists, all kinds of people flying drones. And yeah, there's something weird going on. There is with these larger drones, that's for sure. And here's a report from New York, WPIX. Let's tune in and find out what they had to say about this today, as Senator Schumer called for the use of the Robin drone detection system in order to get some answers.
Drones have been spotted here in New Jersey and New York and up and down the East Coast. And in Washington, there is now some real concern this morning that these drone sightings are highlighting real gaps in local and federal law enforcement. These are gaps that New York Senator Chuck Schumer wants the Congress to help close.
I am going to help pass, and I'm going to co-sponsor legislation that will combat these drones in a better way by allowing local police departments and state police departments to help the feds in sighting these drones, which so many have requested.
Senior New York Senator Chuck Schumer declaring he's working in Washington on a way to combat the drone sighting upsurge in his home state and in New Jersey. New York Governor Kathy Hochul echoing his calls for Congress to pass legislation to empower states with more oversight and enforcement authority over drones. For several weeks, calls and concerns have been growing about the aircraft being spotted high in the skies, even disrupting air traffic at Orange County's Stewart International Airport. Governor Kathy Hochul saying this has gone too far, announcing Washington is sending a state-of-the-art drone detection system to New York State, though it's unclear what that system is. On Capitol Hill, Schumer says he'll call for the White House to approve the use of the Robin radar system, which he says uses 360-degree technology to track drones. Schumer also saying it's time to review drone registration policies since they're currently allowed to fly at lower altitudes but restricted from sensitive sites like airports and military bases. The U.S. Homeland Security Secretary says the drones don't appear to be foreign and that some reports could actually be manned aircraft.
I want to assure the American public that we in the federal government have deployed additional resources, personnel, technology to assist the New Jersey State Police in addressing the drone sighting.
And the FBI saying it's gotten some 5,000 tips about these drone sightings, but upon further review have deemed only about 100 of those sightings to be credible, which speaks to the volume of these sightings and also the concerns coming in across the country. In Hoboken, Justin Finch, Pix 11 News.
So that's a local New York affiliate up there. And 5,000 reports out of that. They figure only 100 are actually credible. But there is some weird stuff going on. I'll tell you, it's all being amplified on social media. And some people using it as clickbait because it's got people jacked up. But we need some answers. There's no question. Yeah, don't shoot them because I think in a lot of cases it is airplanes. And you've got people who are ready to just take them down. Get out the shotgun there, Molly, and we're going to head on out in the backyard there and shoot us some drones. I showed you that clip the other day. It was 2 days ago. The guy who shot at the Walmart drone basically hit it too, $10,000 worth of damage, and they took the guy off to the slammer. Yeah, don't do that. Yeah, shot it with a 9mm. Here's Conservative Member of Parliament, Michelle Ferrari. Here's her view on what happened today with Chrysita Freeland and Justin Trudeau.
It has been, absolute insanity today. The fall economic statement is supposed to be released in the fall. We are well into winter at this point, and today it was supposed to drop, and there was this mounting tension and pressure brewing between the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister, Chrysita Freeland, and today it erupted into a volcano because the Prime Minister was pressuring the Finance Minister to bust through her promised $42 billion fiscal guardrail. $42 billion deficit fiscal guardrail. So this is what she said in her last economic update. You know what? We have to be mindful of inflation. We have to, have checks and balances here. And she promised a $42 billion deficit guardrail, which in itself is absolutely outrageous. So let's just the bar already is outrageous. If your bar is $42 billion or $40 billion, that's a problem. Okay. So then he says, Trudeau says, no, you're going to spend more. Screw your guardrails. Do what I say, or I'll give you another job. In fact, not only will I give you another job, I'll replace you with a guy who isn't even elected, carbon tax Mark Carney, or as I like to call him, Carnage Carney. Right? Every circus needs a Carney. And so Freeland, today, it's supposed to be released at 4 p.m. in the House of Commons, this fall economic statement, and nobody's given an answer on what the deficit's going to be. Nobody's answering, nothing. 8 a.m. this morning, she releases a statement. She's quitting. She's done. She's resigning. And let me tell you, she threw Justin under the bus while she was quitting and basically said, he doesn't listen. Everything we've all said about this guy, right? This is the point of where you're at with this guy. Do as I say, right? Rules for thee, but not for me. And he's like, if you don't do what I say, you're disposable, right? Loyalty doesn't matter. So then it's like, who's going to deliver the fall economic statement? Who's the finance minister? What's going to happen? So the day proceeds, and there's these news reports. He's going to do a statement at 2. Okay, no, it's going to be the Minister of Industry, Minister Champagne. He says no. Then it's like, okay, well, we'll get Randys to do it. Well, the 2 Randys, they're in a massive ethics violation. There has been 9 ministers, 9 gone since in less than a year. 9. Who is running the country, folks? Who? And Sean Fraser quit today. Sean Fraser's like, I'm not doing this anymore. This is the housing minister. This is the guy that, lost track of 2 million people in immigration, destroyed the immigration system, then tried to promise everybody he was going to fix housing with an accelerator fund that doesn't build any houses. It just goes from bad to worse to bad to worse. You can't even make this up. So then 4 o'clock hits. Karina Gould comes in, House Leader. I don't even know how this woman looks herself in the eye because, you have a Prime Minister that has completely backed the bus over somebody who's supposed to be your colleague and also supposed to be he's, this is the reason we call him a fake feminist is because he's the one that brings this up. He's the one that says he's a feminist. He stood on, a stage last week and this is all he talks about. It's complete hypocrisy. It's complete hypocrisy. The guy he has no use for women, and he doesn't care about anybody who doesn't do exactly what he says, and he's a spoiled child. So 4 o'clock comes, Karina Gould comes in and goes, yeah, we're not reading the fall economic statement now, which is contempt of the House of Commons. Okay. So everybody's like, what do you mean? So then she comes back in about 7 minutes later and she goes, okay, I'm going to table it. So she tables this to the House and basically overrides what is mandatory, which is a House rule where there should be, I think it's 20 minutes of House questions and answers from the opposition on the fall economic statement. They don't even want that. They don't even want any questions. You know why they don't want any questions? Because guess what the deficit is in this? Remember how it was supposed to be $40 billion was your guardrail? $62 billion. You destroy the economy, you destroy people's lives. The front headline today in the Peterborough Examiner is public health saying they have never in history seen this record high high food insecurity in families in Peterborough. Do you know what food insecurity is? Hunger, starvation. Like it's a polite way to say people are going hungry. $62 billion. So this is as serious as it gets, guys. So now, who's the only person responsible for keeping this guy in power? Like you can't even write. You couldn't even write this if you tried, because it's just so. It's diabolical at this point, right? Like the human consequences to policy is real, and this guy doesn't. He doesn't care. He's out making some TikTok baking over the weekend. And she told him on Friday she was quitting. And they still didn't have anybody to take her place. Like $62 billion in Canada. It's... So Jagmeet Singh, if you really say you care about people, like, come on, man. Come on. Do your job. Do your job and vote non-confidence for this guy. Like, the Titanic is sinking. And you know what? It's not just a metaphor. It's not just a book, and it's not just a number of 62 billion. It's people's lives. And if you didn't get a chance to see Pierre Poilievre's speech in the House after this, please do, because he tells a very real story of the very real human consequences of bad policy. And if you think that politics is toxic and politics is bad, this is all politics. The suffering that you have all comes back to legislation and politics. Justin Trudeau will go down in history as the worst prime minister in history. He's dangerous. He's dangerous. It's not just incompetence. It's not just egotistical. It's not just narcissism. It's dangerous. And, you know, the only thing I can say, guys, like, keep sharing, keep talking. And if you were a Liberal, if you're an NDPer, the suffering should force you to question what you thought you knew. And you cannot keep standing with these men. And Jagmeet is as guilty as Trudeau. $62 billion. Yeah. You want to see suffering go up? Put people in survival mode. You want to see division, you want to see hate, you want to see anger, you want to see frustration? Take away people's ability to feed their family. Take away their ability to be able to afford a home. You want a united country? Give them back their paycheck. Give them back autonomy. Give them back freedom to go to work and be able to provide for their family. That's what we're going to do. This fall economic statement it's ridiculous. You can't spend your way out of debt, and you can't keep spending money on the same ludicrous things that got you here in the first place. Yeah. Yeah, I'm reading some here. Sue Field, I'm reading your comments here. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, guys. Keep your chin up and keep sharing, keep talking. And I promise you hope is here. Hope is coming. We'll get there.
All right, let's go back to the phones. Who do we have on the line now?
Oh, hey, Rick. It's Rage in the Cage calling from Alberta.
Well, welcome, sir. What are you thinking?
Well, I put a comment in the comment section there when I first got here. By the way, I had to subscribe to you again. I think YouTube hunted me from your channel. You know, everybody's talking about Mark Carney, and Trudeau is, I don't know if you, I guess you didn't catch it, but because you'd been doing your show, but so the CTV news was they actually had footage looking in the windows of the caucus meeting for a while and picking out people like Mendocino and others that are there and other people that are no longer in the caucus, but they're in this caucus meeting. And then they blocked the windows with once they realized it was on TV. But I'm a little bit shaken here with this. You would think Chrysita would just phone Zelensky and get the $22 billion back and cover this. But anyway, you know, they've got 1 day left, and then they go on holidays until the end of January.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep, that's right. Christmas vacay.
Yep, right. So they're going to do something to... People are talking about proroguing Parliament and all this kind of stuff. And there's a lot of channels that I've been surfing today. Just once I got off work, I came home and just started looking at stuff. And everybody's saying stuff about Mark Carney and, you know, they're going to put him in place and blah, blah, blah. You know that anyone in Parliament can be appointed as minister or can be given a position in the government. You don't have to be a Liberal. Now, so as a curveball, maybe Jagmeet is our next Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister, because I don't see any other way out of this for Justin. Like, I don't see anybody in his caucus that he can put in place that's going to do anything or save anything. And he's only got to worry about this for 1 more day, and then he's got a month and a half off.
Yeah.
So all he's going to do is just put somebody in place, give a name for the media to go after for a month and a half.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Like,
well,
seriously?
it looks like that's going to be Dominic LeBlanc. And I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Dragon, because he gave me a French pronunciation lesson tonight. He's the acting, or is the new finance minister, at least for now, is still maintaining his previous role. He's the guy who went out there and got sworn in today. So that's the guy for the moment, at least for the. I would say he'll last at least a day. I don't know if what will happen once we get back to regular business after the holiday break.
Yeah, because tomorrow, the last day of Parliament, do they have to vote and pass this this FEU that was put through?
I don't think so. I think it's just a statement. It's like, this is what we're doing, right? So
it's not a budget. They don't have to like vote and say yes or no.
I don't believe we're at that point with it. No.
Yeah, and there's nothing else tabled that. There's nothing else out there, and they don't have time in 1 day to call for a vote, right?
Because it's an economic statement. It's not an actual budget at this point, as I understand it. So I think, Pierre wanted to turn it into some sort of a vote today, a confidence vote. But of course it didn't happen because Justin is trying to cling to power. So it didn't go down.
So here's another question, because I'm not up on this, and I'm hoping you know. While they're on vacation, can he still do orders in council? or does Parliament have to be in session for him to do an order in council?
No, I think pretty much over the next month and a half, everything grinds to a halt. Unless there's some emergency that is, that erupts or something like that, I don't think you're going to see any real activity of any kind.
Okay. So we're stuck with this whole thing again until the end of March at the earliest. Even if they come back from holidays at the end of January,
Yeah.
and then somebody puts something through and it actually gets voted down or something happens, we're still stuck with this up into a spring election, which we're waiting for anyways.
Yes, and the way I read what happened today is everything coming from Poilievre is, again, political posturing. Of course, he's calling for an immediate election, but it's not going to happen over Christmas. Canadians wouldn't pay enough attention to it. He calls for it, knows he won't get it. He knows that all of this is going to go into the Christmas break. And then, as I've been saying for a long time, I think we're in probably, I've said this before, a spring election. I don't think it'll go the distance because I don't think Trudeau has enough support, either with the public or even within the Liberal Party now. So I think that over Christmas, he will take his walk in the snow like his father did. He'll come back. I wouldn't be surprised if he does resign, because I think his political future, if he wants one at any point down the road, depends on him resigning. That's how he can come back. If he goes into this next election and is devastated, the Liberal Party probably wouldn't forgive him, because they'll be lucky if they even have party status after the next election. The wise thing for him to do, step aside, maybe support somebody for the leadership bid in a very, maybe even just in a quiet way, to try and get somebody that is in there that is on his side. And then 3, 4, 5, 6 years from now, maybe he finds a way back into the political life, like his father did. His father came back too after resigning, right?
That's right. Yeah, and also when he finally walk, he basically just handed everything over to John Turner and left the ball in his court, and still looked good doing it, because people just, again, it was a different time back then. We didn't have the internet, and we had to listen to the news. There wasn't as many scandals that were out there to talk about, and as many things that we could see like there is with Junior. So Pierre was able to just say, yeah, hey, John, here's the ball. Take it or leave it, but take it honestly, and I'll see you later. And then, I don't know if I should say this, but, there's poor John Turner walking in, and he faced the juggernaut of Mulrooney and public opinion and everything else that we saw happen.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I don't think that option is there for Justin to do the same thing, to jump out of the way of the train.
Yeah, it is a different time. And she was right. Michelle was right when she said that he will probably go down in history as the worst prime minister ever for Canada. I've said that for a long time. He is the absolute worst.
I just don't think you can argue against that at all. Absolutely. Let's be honest, really. We've had some doozies, but we haven't had anybody that just, drove the killdozer through the country.
Yeah. Even Turner, I found John Turner, I've met him. I met him, I covered him as a young reporter. I found him to be a nice fella, but not an effective prime minister. His time in office was disastrous. You had Paul Martin Jr. who came in after. He was more effective, a little more conservative. But, we've had some really bad prime ministers. Joe Clark, he was terrible, very weak.
Well, he didn't have a chance. He had 6 months.
Yeah. He was awful.
John Turner only had a few months, and he never had a chance to get into stride. And then after the Mulrooney landslide, there was no coming back from it.
Yeah.
And he was, again, close enough to an age where he just wasn't willing to take the next step. And Chrétien was on the move anyways, because, again, Chrétien
and Trudeau number one were close and tight, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And the same thing with Paul Martin. You know, when Martin took over, he still had some sway. He still had some support. You know?
Yes, he did.
A lot of people in the country, and even on the Liberal side, for probably 2 to 3 years towards the end of Chrétien's term, that they were kind of hoping and pushing for Martin to move into this, to take that step, because they had seen that, you know, again, I mean, Chrétien was one of that old gang that did everything they did to us in the 70s. And by that point in time, you know, with Reform Party and you had the Bloc Québécois making noise, and you had all these things going on in our country at that time, and even globally, the switches and what was happening with Clinton, I think people were looking for something new, but not so new that it was a complete change. And I think that was Paul Martin.
Yes.
But again, I just don't think Justin Trudeau has anyone that can take that step. There's nobody in the party that's not either a raving loony or they're just on their way out anyway.
That's because the party's moved so far to the left. If you look at, you know, Paul Martin Jr., he was like a blue liberal. He was kind of, in my view.
He was in the middle.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, more in the center. And I knew his dad. I had the opportunity to interview his dad a couple of times in his retirement, and again, a little more conservative for a liberal, but there's nobody really like that I see in the Liberal Party right now that can fill that kind of role, and that's where the Liberals need to go if they want to regain public support. I would say they need to pull it back over to the center a little bit more. They're too far to the left, way too far.
Yeah.
So I think they're doomed, honestly.
Okay.
Even if Freeland runs and is successful in taking the leadership, she'll be no better off than Trudeau because she has so much baggage. She might have a lot of support within the party, but when it comes to public support nationally, it's not there for her. She will be as big a liability as he is. She's that unpopular. So, good luck to him.
Even the guy that the name is escaping me. You've already said he's the finance minister now.
Dominic LeBlanc.
Okay, he's actually got more support from the other side of the aisle than a lot of people in the Liberal Party. At least he's not completely hated by everyone. He still gets up in Parliament and says some things, but he was probably a safe bet, right?
Yep. I just find him to be a little bit too lackluster. He doesn't have enough charisma.
Yeah.
The one to keep your eye on, in my opinion, and I ran a clip from her, is Anita Anand. She's kind of like a dark horse candidate. She's in there. She's very even-keeled. She's got power, and she's close to Freeland, but doesn't have the same political baggage. And when I watched her during the Emergencies Act inquiry, she really performed pretty well under pressure when being questioned. So as the Liberals go, she might be one of their better bets because she doesn't have as much political baggage, but she's got the experience and could be a leader for them. I don't know enough about where she's at with her economic views and things like that, though, so I don't know where that would land them.
Yeah.
But
and she checks a few boxes for them to go after the city votes, which they need.
yes,
right?
yeah, that's right.
So.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I just wanted to throw all that at you and get this conversation in. That's great. I'm glad we did. Because again, I think we're in for a real curveball coming. I don't know what it is, but I think that here's the thing. They've got a month and a half to do all kinds of commercials and appearances and speeches and and stuff like that.
Yep.
Because of Christmas, and they're going to go back to their ridings and yada yada. They've got a month and a half to try and save their own seats.
Yes. And I think you're right when you say they're going to throw a curveball. Trudeau has something up his sleeve. I predict, maybe it's not wise to predict, but I think there's a high probability that there's something related to all this foreign interference stuff that he is going to throw back some muck related to that he's going to throw at the Conservatives, that he thinks he can make that stick. I think that's one of the things he's got up his sleeve. He knows something that the other side doesn't. That's why he's still so confident. You're right. There's a curveball coming.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But hey, listen, this was a great call. Please call back again, because I've really enjoyed this very much.
Okay, Rick. Thanks a lot. You have a great show.
You too. Thank you. Appreciate the call. Take care.
Sure. Okay.
All right. And with that, we will take a short break. Come back on the other side. Don't go away. More ahead right after this.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, let's take a quick look here at what happened in the House today with Pierre Poilievre. And this was his exchange. Let me find this for you. Where'd we go? There it is there. Need to get it up on the screen. Okay, this was during question period. It is funny. And then we're going to go and we're going to show you what Justin Trudeau's been saying today when we finish up with Pierre and his exchange in the House.
Official opposition. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has lost control, but he is clinging to power. We knew that he had lost control of the voters, of immigration, of spending, of inflation, of the cost of housing, but now he has lost control of his cabinet. The Vice Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister, the Minister of Finance has stepped down, and she stepped down hours before presenting Canada's fall economic statement with an enormous deficit. When will we have an election?
L'honorable leader du gouvernement à l'Assemblée commune.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our government is looking forward to presenting the economic statement this afternoon, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank the member for University Rosedale for everything that she has done for this country and everything that she will continue to do for this country. Her accomplishments make quite a long list, and her place in history is assured, and we are very proud of everything that she has done for this government.
L'honorable chef de l'opposition.
The Prime, yet he clings to power. He's lost control of immigration, lost control of the borders, lost control of spending, deficits, inflation, housing costs. In fact, his former, apparently, finance minister was trying to get spending under control by capping the deficit at an already crazy $40 billion. But he took carbon tax Carney's advice and pushed her beyond that guardrail and was trying to throw her off the cliff. She's now resigned minutes before presenting her fall economic update. This cannot go on. When will we have a carbon tax elected?
Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, our government looks forward to presenting the fall economic statement later this afternoon. But I would also like to take this opportunity to extend my gratitude for all that the member from University Rosedale has accomplished for this country and will continue to do for this country. She has played an integral role in this government. First of all, standing up for Canada and defending NAFTA, bringing forward universal childcare, and the incredible work that she has done in defending Ukraine. We are very grateful for all that she's contributed to this government and to Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
For the Finance Minister. Who are you?
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, at a time when Canadians are struggling, we are happy to bring forward measures that are going to assist them. Things like the GST tax cut that took place starting this past Saturday, going until February 15th. And while the Conservative leader and the members of his caucus stay focused on us, we're going to stay focused on helping.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, it was a serious question. Who is the Finance Minister? After the Finance Minister's resignation this morning, automatically the Industry Minister became Minister of Finance. And congratulations. But he immediately quit. After him, in the line of precedence, it was the two Randys. Well, they don't want it. So now we don't have a finance minister just a couple of minutes before the fall economic statement will be presented. So where's the minister?
The Honourable Leader of the Government,
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I said, our government is looking forward to presenting the fall economic statement later this afternoon. There are important measures in that update, measures that are important for Canadians. It's time for the Leader of the Conservatives to recognize that while he's focused on us, we are focused on Canadians.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, just to underline the chaos we're faced with here, the Finance Minister resigned the day she was to present the fall budget, which was going to contain a massive deficit overrun. The job then went automatically to the Industry Minister, who immediately resigned, like on the spot, which then went down the line, and the next person in order was the famous two Randys. And they're not available to do the job either. We're now less than 2 hours away from the fall economic update. Why won't the Prime Minister have the courage to come in here, present it himself, and put it for a confidence vote tonight?
I would like to remind all members, as I did during statements today, for members to be careful not to refer to other sitting members by their names, but to use their titles or to use their writing names. The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, Mr. Speaker, while the Leader of the Opposition continues to play politics in this place, we look forward to presenting the fall economic statement later this afternoon that will have a series of important measures for Canadians. Things that are going to help them with the affordability challenges, that are going to put Canada, Canadian jobs, and the Canadian economy first. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I would like to ask the honourable member from St. Albert, Edmonton, to please not take the floor when he is not recognized by the Speaker.
Where is he?
The honourable member for La Prairie.
Okay. Okay, enough of that now. We're going to show you what Justin Trudeau has been saying, but just to clarify things from our caller, with regard to this fall economic statement, the statement itself does not require a vote in the House. So this is one of the main reasons this didn't turn into a confidence vote today. However, certain aspects of the statement might lead to legislative actions that do require parliamentary approval. So any new spending or policy measures proposed in this statement today might require legislative action. For example, changes in taxation or new budgetary allocations would need to be introduced through Ways and Means motions or appropriation bills, and these are then debated and voted on in the House of Commons. And so that process involves these things. If the economic statement proposes changes to taxation or introduces new taxes, then these changes would be implemented through Ways and Means motions, which must be passed by the House before becoming legislation. So there's a process that needs to play out. Now, for spending measures, the government would need to present appropriation bills that are based on the main and supplementary estimates, and these bills outline the government's spending plans and require House approval. The House votes on these estimates usually in committee stages before they go for a final vote in the House and then to the Senate for a review. And while the economic statement itself isn't subject to a vote, the government could face a confidence vote if the opposition parties decide to challenge the government's fiscal policy or general competence. Hello, Jagmeet Singh. So this could happen if an opposition party tables a motion of non-confidence, especially if the economic statement is perceived to reflect poorly on the government's economic management. In Canada's parliamentary system, the government can be defeated by a vote of non-confidence, leading to an election. Then Trudeau has to go to the Governor General and dissolve Parliament, and then you go to the polls. However, this is not directly tied to the statement itself today, but rather to the political dynamics at play. So given the resignation of the finance minister, Chrysita Freeland, today, there might be added political scrutiny. Well, obviously there is. But the process for the economic statement remains fundamentally administrative unless specific legislative actions follow from the proposals within it. So remember that the political environment can influence how these processes play out, with opposition parties potentially leveraging the statement for political gain, as we saw with Poilievre today, or to push for debates or even confidence votes. And I think you're going to see that play out in the weeks ahead. And as for the orders in council, yes, Trudeau can still write orders in council, even over the break, but I think it's highly unlikely that he would do that. And if he were to do it, it would only be, I think, for incidents to deal with things of major consequence. And that's because, as Michelle indicated in her video, I think he's too busy making TikTok videos to really deal with things on a more serious level. And these orders in council are generally used to deal with really urgent, changing economic conditions. If there are issues with continuity of government, it's usually something fairly significant. And even then, there are checks and balances in place to make sure that the process isn't entirely abused, because while those orders in council can be written, they still need to be passed by the Governor General ultimately, and then afterward, when the House reconvenes, they are reviewed, they can be questioned, and And then they may or may not stand after that. In addition to that, they're always subject to judicial review and other forms of oversight as well. So it's not like he's the president. He can't just sit there and write executive orders without some sort of scrutiny. Now let's take a look at what Justin has been saying today. We'll go to his Twitter account, and I think this is revealing, very revealing actually as well. And we just lost our Wimkin feed because we're at the max time over on that platform. Sorry, Wimkin people, you're not even hearing my apology because we're off over there. We just maxed out the time allotment. Here's Justin's Twitter feed today. And what's he talking about? Oh, John Horgan, yeah. The former premier of BC, passing away, talking about that. Talking about, oh, this is all the way back from December 13th. That's when he went to basically cut the ribbon on the HMCS Protecteur and met with the shipbuilders out there who put that together. Nothing really of note being posted by Justin Trudeau today, not even mentioning the fall economic statement at all. December 14th was his last post 2 days ago. Not a peep from the PM. Why would that be, Justin? Maybe because things are not going too smoothly, and we are into a state of chaos within the Liberal Party. Well, folks, we're going to wrap it up there. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight. It's been entertaining, a little bit scary given the size of that budget deficit. It's almost 62 billion, 61.2, I think, was the total amount of the new budget deficit coming out from the Liberal government today. And as a result, the Liberals in chaos as the finance minister resigns, and Justin Trudeau continues to grasp at a lifeline, or look for one, so that he can continue to cling to power. This story will, I'm sure, continue to evolve tomorrow. It will continue to develop, and we will be here for you, providing ongoing coverage. And I hope you can join us again tomorrow night as our quest for truth, justice, and the way of freedom continues. On the flip side, 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. See you then.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.